Hi guys, welcome to my channel. So today I thought I'd film my labour and delivery story. So my daughter's actually 2 months old now, nearly 3. Her due date was January the 16th, but she wasn't born until the 31st of January, so she was 15 days overdue. I've got some notes on my phone, just that I've jotted down just so I can remember and get every detail. The first process of induction for me was I had a stretch and sweep done when I was 41 weeks pregnant, and then I had another one 2 days later because it obviously didn't work. On Sunday the 28th we went into the hospital to start the induction process. Went in the morning at around 9 AM, and then midday they put the 24-hour pessary in, and that's meant to soften up your cervix and release hormones to induce labour and the contractions will start. So I had that in for 24 hours. Nothing happened. I just had cramps and some contractions. I'd been having them for about a month anyway, so I wasn't expecting anything good to happen. So once that came out, they said they would check me and see if I was 2 centimetres dilated so they can try and break my waters. I wasn't. I was still barely 1 centimetre, so they put this other tablet inside up into your cervix, which was in for 6 hours, and that one dissolved. It done the same thing as a 24-hour one, but it was less strong. Again, that one did nothing. So when they came round after 6 hours, they said they'd check me again, see if they could break my waters, and they couldn't. So I had to have another tablet put in, and this is this is on the Tuesday, so we come in on the Sunday, this is a Tuesday, but this has gone all the way on to Tuesday now. So they couldn't break my waters. And once the second one got in, after a few hours I got up and my waters actually broke themselves and they went. So I went and told the midwife, and she said, we'll give it a couple of hours, and if nothing happens, we'll take you around and put you on the drip. I was like, brilliant. But once my waters broke, I started getting strong, regular contractions. And I'd asked for some pain relief, so they gave me the liquid morphine, and that made me really sleepy. So I had a nap, and when I woke up, the contractions had all gone, they'd all stopped. So they took us round to the labour ward into a suite and put me on the drip. This is around 6 o'clock on the Tuesday. At this point my mum had arrived, her and my boyfriend Jordan were my birthing partners. They both went out. Jordan went out to go get food and have a shower, and Mum went out to view a flat. So I was still on morphine, so I went to sleep once they put the drip in. And I got woken up because Effie, my daughter, they lost her heartbeat. They couldn't find her heartbeat anymore, so they turned the drip off and they ended up putting a clip on her head. At this point I was 2 centimetres, so she managed to get the clip in, put it on top of her head, and so I had the clip, like the lead, coming out of me, it was stuck onto my leg, as well as the drip on my hand or my arm, and the monitors around my tummy. So I was completely bedbound, because every time I tried to move and get into a comfortable position, her heart rate dropped and she didn't like it. By around 9 o'clock, the contractions started getting regular, and I first, like, you could see it on the monitor, and my mum was like, oh, they look quite strong, and I was breathing through them, it was fine. The midwife turned the drip up again. They asked me if I thought of pain relief. My pain relief options was just gas and air. I didn't want to have an epidural because I don't like, for me it freaked me out that you couldn't feel your body, and that needle going into a spinal cord was a no for me. So I was like, oh, I'll just have gas and air, blah blah blah. And the midwife kept saying to me, no, you're on the hormone drip, it's really painful, everyone has the epidural, it's best to have the epidural with this drip because it's work, blah blah blah. So they ended up persuading me to keep an open mind. But I was breathing through my contractions, they were fine, and then all of a sudden I had one contraction and it was like 0 to a million, like that, like real quick. And I was shaking, and I was like, afterwards, I was like to the midwife, what the hell? What was that? She was like, oh, is it just got really bad? I was like, yeah. She was like, okay, well, we'll keep turning the drip up. Would you like to try some gas and air? So I tried the gas and air, and at this point on the drip, my contraction, they started becoming, I was having 6 in 10 minutes, and I'd been on the drip for a few hours, I think it was, 6 in 10 minutes, and at this point I was off my face from gas and air, and the pain was something else, so I was off my face. I think I'd been sick a few times. I got checked at midnight. I don't remember getting checked, and I was 3 centimetres, and I was having back-to-back contractions, so I had no break between my contractions. If I wasn't breathing in gas and air, I was having a contraction. So I was constantly breathing gas in there. So I'd look at the clock and it was like 12 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3, and it was like chunks of my time was getting taken. I don't remember anything from the night, thank God. And then all of a sudden, the next thing I know, I'm bent over on the bed, like hunched over, about to have an epidural. I don't remember asking for one or saying if I can have one. But my mum said I'd asked for morphine. I wanted morphine, and they were like, oh, that's not going to cut it. Maybe you should have an epidural, blah, blah, blah. And they managed to persuade me to have the epidural. So the anaesthetist came in. She tried 6 times to get the epidural in my back, and it just wasn't working. I think because I was just having constant contractions and she couldn't get the right place. She kept saying to me, where do you feel it? And it was constantly shooting down my left side. So then in the end she had to go to surgery. So I was left, my mum said, for another hour and a half with back-to-back contractions, throwing up, just waiting for this, like the anaesthetist to come back. And eventually, obviously, she did. And she had a scanner, so she scanned my back and she was able to pinpoint where to put the needle in. So she'd done it in straight away first time. Once the epidural was in, I was still feeling all the contractions. I could still feel them, but I was able to sleep. So I slept for a few hours. I woke up and it was like it was around 6 in the morning. So I've been on the drip for 12 hours now with back-to-back contractions. We looked at all the screen. It was like brilliant. She should be like 8 or 9 centimetres by now, because with back-to-back contractions she should be ready to push by now. And then the doctor came in and he examined me and I was still 3 centimetres dilated. So after that, and each contraction, Effie's heart rate was dropping. And then they just at that point he just said that we can't keep on the drip any longer. I had to have an emergency caesarean. So I think we went into theatre around 6:30, 7:15. She was born 16 minutes past 7. I lost nearly a litre of blood. I was like falling asleep on the table because I can remember hearing her cry, sort of opening my eyes, seeing her like hold her above. They brought her around. I was able to like lift my hand up to touch her face. So that was it. She got Jordan walked out with her to show her to her mum and go around to recovery once they sorted me out and stitched me up. So that was all done. They wheeled me round to recovery, and I was able, well, they brought Effie to me on my chest so that I could have skin to skin with her and breastfeed her for the first time. And then once we were only in recovery for about an hour, 2 hours maybe, and they wheeled us round to the ward where we stayed for 2 nights in the ward. Overall for me, the whole experience of my time in hospital was really positive because the midwives were incredible. I can't believe how much midwives do. I can hear Effie's woken up from her nap now, so I'm going to go in there and get her. I am sorry for the background noise in the video. I have got the TV on just to keep the background noise to keep Effie asleep, because if I turn it off she'll wake up. So thank you for watching my first video. Like, subscribe, all that jazz. Bye!